Thank you, Acting Speaker, and I'm pleased to rise today to speak on the Justice Legislation Amendment Committals Bill 2024. And as some of the speakers before me have pointed out, it's a step in the right direction, but as the Shadow Attorney-General Member for Malvern has also stated, there are some things that could direct us in a stronger direction, I think. And as you know, Acting Speaker, I'm very, very passionate in this space, and I have spent a bit of time in briefings and debriefings and discussions with the Shadow Attorney-General this week, and I do appreciate the time that the Member for Malvern takes in cases like these. And like I said, it is a step in the right direction, but with the reasoned amendment that the Member for Malvern has submitted, it could certainly be stronger. And one of my mantras if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. Let's save time and money and try to get things as right as we can the first time. I don't know, there's no silver bullet here, but this will certainly help to streamline the process as far as safeguards and protection for victims and witnesses for indictable offences like family violence, like sexual violence, like stalking. Maybe one day we'll be able to add coercive control to that list of offences when that becomes an offence in Victoria, because that is also something I'm very, very passionate about, Acting Speaker. While we are on this subject, I thought it would be an opportune time to pay tribute to the Mildura Rural City Council, who, after the Friday after last sitting, held their Walk Against Family Violence, which is an event in Mildura that starts in the Langtree Mall and we walk down as a group to Powerhouse Precinct down on the beautiful Mildura riverfront. And I especially wanted to pay tribute to Kim O'Reilly, who was the speaker. She is a force of nature. She is a victim survivor of a horrific incident of intimate partner violence. And she is still recovering, but she's a force of nature. And the tribute that she conducted at Mildura Rural City Council's Walk Against Family Violence last week was really powerful, really powerful. So I wanted to, and I did actually invite Kim here today to be part of the event in Queen's Hall, but given that she does so much work and advocacy in this space, she couldn't be here because she was supporting some other victim survivors. So I did really want to take a moment to pay tribute to her today. One other thing I wanted to point out, Acting Speaker, when talking about family violence and sexual offences, a term I hear, not often, thankfully, but consistently, is low-risk offenders. Now, the question in my mind, again, given my experience in the matter, is there such a thing as a low-risk offender, or is it someone at the beginning? I just think that is another term to be discussed. Again, there is no silver bullet here, but again, in my experience, a low-risk offender is an offender, nevertheless. So I wanted to get that on the record. But getting back to the bill, Acting Speaker, this bill obviously comes about after the VLRC was issued a reference, or the Victorian Government issued the VLRC to review and report on the committal system, which brings us to today's bill. And as we've heard other members in this place speak about today and some of the stats, there's approximately 3,000 criminal cases go through some form of committal in the courts every single year, and around 30% of those resolve in the Magistrates' Court, and around 60% are committed to the County Court, half of these for trial, the other half for sentencing following a guilty plea in the Magistrates' Court, and the further 4% are tried or sentenced in the Supreme Court. In Mildura, And if you haven't been there, it may be hard to imagine. And Mildura, so I learnt last weekend, I thought there was just a tunnel system under the Justice and Police Precinct. Apparently those tunnel systems run right throughout the whole town. I'm not even joking, I got to have a look in a historic building last week, and there are tunnels that run in and out of there. But the tunnel system around the Justice Precinct is there for obvious reasons, for safety reasons and all that kind of stuff. But talking to our VicPol members, our Victoria Police members, who are continually frustrated with the weakened bail laws in this state, and they call it a very visible wash and repeat. It's like a spin cycle washing machine where they come in through the police station, they go in, they might be held or whatever, they go through the court system, or they go and see a bail justice, and I have a bail justice who is a friend of mine, and same thing, everyone that's involved and working in this space is so frustrated by the very visible, sometimes it's underground, but it's still very visible, that it's a wash and repeat cycle because the bail laws are not there to keep those low-risk offenders. And again, what's a low-risk offender when we're talking about violence in any kind? It's a ridiculous term. Anyway, so it's a continual frustration. I did also want to thank our Victoria Police members, and I have been speaking to those in Mildura. I know it's rolling industrial action for police right around the state at the moment, and have offered my support to those if it gets up to tropical northern Victoria, that I am more than happy to go and stand with them, because it is those frontline workers, like our nurses, like our Victoria Police, that should be the priority of this government. A government that can't manage money, and now because of that financial mismanagement, they can't afford to pay our frontline workers and our most essential workers, not even come to the table to negotiate. That's having your priorities in the wrong place, Acting Speaker. So I have reached out to some of our police members. In fact, I got pulled up the other day, not for anything. No, I know, just for a random breath test and police check. But of course, it was a great opportunity, mind you. It was 11 o'clock at night, coming home from an event in Mildura, across outback New South Wales and back into Victoria. They pulled me up for a random check and got chatting about things. And although they didn't want to give too much away, the sighs, the heaviness, the melancholy in their voice and the frustration at their employer, who won't even come to the table to negotiate a better pay deal for them, is very, very evident in their voices and in their conversations. And luckily it was under the cover of darkness and they could have those conversations, because I don't know if you've ever been to Robinvale, where I got pulled up, Acting Speaker. There's not a lot of traffic around 11 o'clock at night, which is probably why they pulled me over, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong. Let me get that on the record. Wasn't doing anything wrong. I had my children in the car. As we finish up, Acting Speaker, I have referred to the member for Melbourne, the Shadow Attorney General's reasoned amendment, and this is what we think could strengthen this bill. And the reasoned amendment is that the words after that be omitted and replaced with the words, "This House refuses to read this bill a second time until the government, A, explains why it has rejected the Victorian Law Reform Commission's recommendation to empower the magistrates and children's courts to discharge the accused on relevant indictable charge or charges if satisfied that there is no reasonable prospect of conviction," valid, "and commits to reviewing the implementation of the bill to identify and remedy any demonstrable unfairness to defendants that may be occasioned." Again, it's one of those things that we're not opposed to this bill. We are happy to help out in any... No, not happy. We are supportive of any measures that might help to strengthen legislation in this area that is terribly weak at the moment, but it could be stronger. So I encourage the government, strongly encourage the government, to support the member for Malvern's reasoned amendment, And that may get us to where we need to be.